Hey, and welcome to another Frog Island devlog. For those of you who are new to this channel, Frog Island is a cozy hand-drawn frog collection game I've been working on for about a year now. What you're looking at right now is the cooking system I made way back in March 2023. And this is the very long script that makes this whole system run. Yep, 2,000 plus lines of unoptimized code. It's honestly amazing how poorly written this is. Like, for example, why is there an if inside of an if inside of an if inside of an if?
Bruh.
Anyways, you get the idea. Old me was very inexperienced, but that's okay, because now I'll be tackling these old systems one by one and giving them a complete overhaul. These changes have been sitting in the back of my head for a long time, and now that I'm done most of the gameplay, I think it's the perfect moment to begin the epic Frog Island overhaul 1 year later. Oh, and I'll also be showing the new title screen and quest system, so make sure to watch till the end. Finally, if you'd like to support the development of Frog Island, feel free to check out my Ko-Fi page linked in the description below. Feel free to also check out the newly updated Frog Island Steam page and leave a wishlist. It really helps increase the game's visibility in the Steam algorithm and is a quick and completely free way to show your support. Alright, let's go back to the cooking system. In this area, players had to drag and drop ingredients into a large cooking pot. Once satisfied, the cook button was pressed and the player would have to complete a short timing minigame to cook the dish. Okay, first of all the ingredients are outdated, so I'll have to update those. The UI is also split left and right, and since the cooking pot is the main focus, it doesn't make sense for this inventory to take up a whole half of the screen. Speaking of the pot, it's not even symmetrical. It looks way too flat and doesn't seem like it's sitting on the counter. And while the minigame is fine and all, completing it immediately transitions back up and there isn't really any sense of achievement. The fire also just kind of explodes. Don't really know what I was going for there. Finally, when dropping stuff in the water, the ingredients just sort of disappear into the void and it kind of just looks like unknown blue liquid. Great, with these flaws in mind, here is the new and improved design. I've designed a new pot that's less round and is actually symmetrical. It's also now in the center of the screen, giving it more of a focus for the player. It's still got the same engravings, just with some updated touches. I've also decided to make it so cooking a dish now requires one piece of wood to ignite the fire. This will give wood more of a use and is pretty realistic as well. Instead of having this display bar on the left, I've placed it in the center to clearly indicate that it's for pot ingredients. The redo button and cook button can go on the left and right to extend this UI section nicely. And instead of this big chunky inventory, it's now hidden initially and only pops up when you click on this bar, making it a lot less cluttered. Now I'll still keep the drag and drop, but change it so that objects will actually fall into the pot and float on the surface. This will give players another visual indicator of what items are in the pot and make it seem like the pot isn't just water. For the minigame, a tiny bar will appear for players to click and time, sort of like the bar from Undertale. This will allow players to cook different quality dishes. For example, the red area would result in burnt food, but the purple area, with a smaller timing window, would yield a perfect dish. Oh, and don't forget Chef Frog, who will give you different reactions based on how well you do in the minigame. Once the minigame is complete, the pot will poof and sparkle, and a dish will be created. Now that's a lot more satisfying to cook. Great, with the cooking system overhauled, let's see where we left off a year ago with the cookbook. Well, I got my work cut out for me. First of all, this isn't even a book, it's kind of just a big rectangle. The toggles on the right are also part of the page, which doesn't really make sense. And also, how do you even start cooking? There's no button to do so other than clicking on the picture itself, which isn't clear at all. Finally, the scroll for recipes on the left doesn't make sense. I think flipping through pages would be a lot nicer. So, let's change it. Each page will now display a dish, name, taste attributes, ingredients required, and description. There's also a cook button at the bottom of each page for players to click. Now you're probably wondering how I got this page flip to work. I'm still not really experienced when it comes to animating, so if you can't do it, cheese it with tweens. As for how you display recipe info, remember that if you're flipping the page left or right, you actually need to consider what's on 4 pages instead of 2. For example, if these pages are indexed 2 and 3, then flipping the page right would need to display 4 and 5, and so on. So to make it look seamless, I can load the new recipe indices when the page is flat in between. I've also added these bookmarks at the top to toggle through different types of dishes easily. So far I've only drawn 16 desserts, but expect a lot more in the future. And finally, when you cook an already discovered dish, a little checklist will pop up on the right to guide you and let you know what ingredients you still need to add. To finish off this cooking system, I designed a brand new kitchen building featuring a comically large teapot. I've also designed the outside environment with a clearing, some farmland, and a large pond for fishing up freshwater fish. I've recently discovered how to add ripple shaders for a watery effect, so I've been having some fun with that. When entering the kitchen, you'll actually find yourself in the interior, where Chef Frog will be hidden behind the cooking pot. Clicking on his tiny hat will pop him up, and players can perform actions such as chatting, giving gifts, attempting cooking challenges, and even selling cooked dishes. Alright, next on the to-do list is the map system. I decided to completely ditch this paper map and try to make a topographic one. Since Frog Island is located somewhere unknown, I wanted it to be shrouded in mystery and added a cloudy border around the map. You'll notice that there are quite a few locations to discover and some unknown ones as well. Each area will serve a purpose and relate to the story and gameplay, and I'll eventually be making an underground map as well, but I won't be spoiling anything yet. Players can pan and zoom the map, and a little red marker will indicate where you currently are on the island. The map is also dynamically affected by the time of day, which I thought was kind of cool, and it was less of a jump scare if you open the map at midnight. By the way, this island design was inspired by Fortnite and Maple Moth's Lilypad island design, so thank you Epic Games and Maple Moth. In case you haven't noticed, I've finally updated the Frog Island logo, which brings us to the title screen that I've been working on. It's still a work in progress, but I've designed some leaves, some god rays, vines, and shrubs, and a nice view of the island in the distance. So yeah, I haven't made much progress other than the design, but I'm really happy with how it's turning out. And finally, I've been working on a new quest manager. I want to create something that can dynamically add and update all the quests in the game, so that in the long run I can add new quests easily. Visually, I've been working on a small menu with a clipboard looking thing on the left and a quest paper on the right to display quest info. Quests will be sorted into 3 categories: story quests for the main story, side quests, which can be basically anything, and frog quests, which are specific to certain frogs, sort of like companion quests from Genshin and Star Rail. Great, with all of these systems in place, I'd like to give you guys a final showcase of all of these system overhauls. Please enjoy. So yeah, that's about it for this devlog. This is probably the most development I've done in the shortest amount of time, so I'm really happy with my progress so far. And for once, I actually don't have a tangible thing to work on for the next devlog, which is something I never thought I'd be able to say. That doesn't mean there isn't work to be done. I've still got so much more to do, and if I were to give a rough estimate of my progress until release, I'd say it's about 55% done, maybe 60, but in terms of gameplay, things are finally starting to come together. And hopefully bit by bit, update by update, Frog Island will start to look more like a finished product. As always, feel free to subscribe to this channel with notifications or join the Frog Island Discord server if you want to stay updated on my development process or if you're just looking to have a good time. Anyways, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any thoughts, criticisms, things you liked or disliked that you'd like to mention, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear all your feedback. So, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next devlog coming very soon.